Namaste and welcome, beloved mighty companions, holy bearers of the light of God. Thank you for bringing your holy presence here to this brigade of light, the Straight Up Club. And it's being expressed so beautiful with the mighties in these joinings, how powerful it is to be together, and how essential every single being that comes is to God's plan. How precious, like we're trading in specialness for precious. We're trading in what could never happen to what is. We're giving away that old used vehicle. To celebrate God's holy presence in everything I see together. To see that there's only one place to go, which is up. Aligned with Source. And everything else is an idea that something can't be aligned with Source. That we truly do not know what anything's for. Except the one song, All for Love. That's what it's for. All for love. So it feels just helpful to mention that there are a couple of copies of the worksheet. They all work, it's really willingness, not the form, of course. If you follow Jesus, however that looks, you'll see that you're already home. We're already this infinite light. It's just helpful right now because he's showing us really just how to look at desires, that the worksheet where it has from Jesus, about Jesus at the top, something like that, as from Jesus or something, where he gives a description, do this, and then this step and this step. It's just what's most helpful right now. But of course, the other one works too, because it all starts with light, infinite light. And we can never go wrong with what we are, starting with light. And if we look in the light, we can only pretend that something's wrong. Let's ask Jesus about that. Jesus, can we only pretend that something could go wrong? That divine light could ever be something other than light? We're just learning not to play an interpretive function within consciousness. See that the light doesn't interpret. The light doesn't know what anything is. It doesn't need to. It is everything. Yeah, he's talking again about contemplation on divine power. Okay, let's contemplate that. We're so used to power in the world, the misuse of creative power, to pretend that we don't have divine power. Infinite power. the power that's granted to us by God. Feel to how that's, just notice that's a different kind of power. It's the power of being what we are, unchanged by time or space. Doesn't go anywhere or do anything. It's just here. Yeah, you can just sense that it has more power than anything of this world. We're used to power plants and power plays and grabs for power, fighting for power, wars for power, electrical power. And does a single type of power of any of those descriptions hold a candle to the power of light? In our direct experience as light beings, can we find a way for any of that power? The power of love, not the concept of love, not the love that gets squeaked out in little doses, the give to get love, the power of the unchanging. Yeah, Jesus is reminding me of that trip to Jerusalem. Again, must need to see it. Because I asked him, do I talk about this? And he says, yes. It's so helpful to ask him, keep us out of those stories. Then the stories that he shows us and the images he shows us are all in purpose. Where I'd gone to Jerusalem and I mentioned he directed me to the tomb garden. It's so stunning. You know, it's really never about the form, but he uses the form to teach us how to hear his voice. I didn't know where I was going in Jerusalem when I got there. But he showed me this beautiful garden tomb right around from the corner from the hotel. It was so amazing, out of all of Jerusalem. And I was in the Muslim quarter right outside Damascus Gate. And the tomb garden is where some propose, it's just a beautiful symbol. See, these are all symbols. Form can only be a symbol. You know, the idea in mind when I went, I didn't really have many ideas. I didn't really do any research. It's just, you're going to Jerusalem. Okay, get on a plane and go find a hotel. The first hotel I tried to stay in, it just fell through. It didn't work. So I just found this hotel. Obviously, Jesus found this hotel. Because right around the corner from the tomb garden, like the closest hotel, you could throw a rock and hit the Damascus Gate. That's how close this little, you know, and in the world's terms, it would be called the hole in the wall. The miracle hole in the wall right there. Because I got there at night, like at 1 a.m, dropped off by the bus. Another Jesus bus. And we've all heard how there was a lot of doubts about rising bus. So I'm riding a bus in the middle of the night in Jerusalem. Get out. And it's deserted, and there's, you know how like in Texas they have tumbleweeds. Well, they were like tumble trash rolling by, you know. And I'm walking over going, you know, you have those thoughts, what am I doing here? And you know, and it's a hostel, so it was rough and a little rough and tumble around the edges there. And anyway, but it was miraculously near the tomb garden. So I was walking outside there toward the tomb garden. I was a magnet. I couldn't stay away from it. You know, I just go there and just contemplate. And I just like, it was like so amazing. You know, these beings would come because they were so in love. And the beings in that place, like, so happy to talk about the resurrection. They talk about the resurrection all day. You know, they were all just, you know, we have to be together, these glowing lights. We're the glowing lights of God. We have to be together. And you're like a magnet wherever you go, you know, they're going to be there. So just beautiful how they love talking about he is risen. They had a little sign on the door in the tomb garden. He is not here. He's risen, you know. So I was a couple of 100 yards away. And as I've mentioned on this Jerusalem trip, they were just like, I couldn't get away from that. I mean, I had to, it was like magnet to go in there. So I was walking along and this Muslim man came walking up to me. I was looking at tables. There were like vendors that had their things along that whole street was lined with vendors. And he came up to me and said, you know, you're an American. What do you think about the decision to divide Jerusalem? You know, this is Jerusalem. What a symbol in the mind of guns and checkpoints. And I could feel myself sweating bullets going through those checkpoints. This is how the mind plays. You know, and like right at the Damascus gate, they had like a little gated area, you know, maybe 10 or 15 by 15 feet gated. They'd had like 8 to 10 guards, military, Israel military, standing there with Uzis. It was a great look in the mind, you know, and people tell me, don't you know, they're under fire, you know, no, I just guess I go where Jesus tells me. Just smile at him walking by. So this guy comes up to me and he goes, well, what do you think about the plan to divide Jerusalem? Redivide, like I didn't know about it, but if you've ever seen the old city, it is like a pie, you know, because it's got the Muslim quarter and the Jewish quarter and the Christian, you know, everybody's got their little piece of Jerusalem, more checkpoints inside. Going between, you know, got the Wailing Wall in there, you know, the end of Solomon's temple. It's quite an amazing place, actually. But I didn't know anything about a redivision plan. I just, you know, you just see guns and sort of like Mexico actually has a lot of barbed wire, don't we? And it was just beyond miracle because just, I don't know where it came from. See, the spirit just takes you over. And when he asked me that, I just said, can love be divided? How can love be divided? I didn't see that was for me. You know, it was like, where did that come from? The God spirit just takes you over. Who could think of that? You know, nobody's thinking that. That's spirit talking through us, natural. But that was one of those things, you know, sometimes we say these things of spirit, pure. They've only partially detonated in us. And then when that hit, you can see these little detonations. It's so beautiful. It's like, wow. But what was so miraculous about that, he agreed love couldn't be divided. Now, how do you start a conversation with that? That's Jesus right there moving, showing me. I don't know nothing. And he had led me all over the old city, just the most amazing experiences in that, because it's like a maze in there. And somehow he had led me to Solomon, who was Muslim, just days before, so I could learn about the Quran. So I'm getting these teachings, right? He sends me to India, and then I get teachings. I'm thinking, this is really interesting. I'm learning. What is he teaching me all this for? To show me it's the same. So then I said, well, doesn't Muhammad talk about love? And then we just have the most beautiful talk about love. It's like, is there any other conversation? None of us are interested in any other conversation, are we? The love language of infinite. And I could see that little play in the mind. Like I could see there was still from that play of 9/11, some ideas and thoughts about Muslim, and of course, so then I was just surrounded by that. So I could look at it directly and then have all these miraculous interactions one after the other, clear the mind. And he delivered quite a few of those. Yeah. This is lesson 334. This is how we really claim naturally what's already ours. Today, I claim the gifts forgiveness gives. That's the gift of forgiveness. The willing to see it differently. To let the spirit, just our natural voice, come through. Without that guidance from Jesus and listening to him so much, those words couldn't have come out of my mouth, because I would have been going, well, he's, the conceptual idea of my brother. See how that obscures the kind of conversation we think we can have with a brother? How often do we go edit because of an idea about our brother, but it's no brother out there. So it's an idea about ourselves, what someone else is capable of. It's a denial of divine expression. He showed me how that's a denial. Like as soon as those words come out of your mouth, and this was a very deep love. I love this course teacher. But the belief that beings cannot, they can't deal with every day, so they couldn't really look directly at these denials. No, everyone can. That's what Jesus is teaching. There are simply no exceptions. Who expressed that last night? Of Irene. Stunningly. That's the first page of that book. Within the first chapter, I know. Everyone can hear and speak my voice. There are no exceptions. That's what he's telling. Today, I claim the gifts forgiveness gives, which is God's voice. Restores God's voice, which is our voice unto us. The voice of salvation, the one who already is saved. That's why these joining sessions, again, are so precious, because it's not for an other. It's a deep look here to hear and speak the voice, so it's natural to us. We see how natural it is. It's light training. That Jesus, is it our function to speak only love? He says, you can only speak what you are. See? And so you speak, so shall you experience. Speak my voice only. Because says it saves a lot of time. So that other voice will just fall away. It'll be of no interest to you, he says. No interest. Because it's not natural to you. I will not wait another day to find the treasures that my Father offers me. Jesus, will you show us, reveal to us any decisions inside to deny or try to ooch out another minute even not to find the treasures of the Father? Oh my gosh, see what you bring in your light here today. Just by your presence, what this means for all of us, for you to be here, for you to join with us, to join together for the only thing that we care about, divine love. Illusions are all vain, and dreams are gone even while they are woven out of thoughts that rest on false perceptions. You know how that synchronicity works with Jesus, like he's showing me perception, then he's showing me perception again, just to make sure. Jesus, is any perception real in the light of divine being? Can we find perception in infinite light of being? While they are woven out of thoughts that rest on false perception. Do I have any desires to weave dreams, vain illusions? Will you show me? Can I offer those? Can I ask for a miracle on vain illusions? Let me not accept such meager gifts again today. God's voice is offering the peace of God to all who hear and choose to follow him. Jesus is my only salvation, following you. Am I seeking another means of salvation other than following you? If so, just admit it, and then we can see it. It's right here. Am I following death as salvation? Is that running ramshod under my awareness? This is my choice today, and so I go to find the treasures God has given me. Are the treasures God have given me anywhere other than infinite light in our direct experience? Can we find a way that the treasures are any other place than light? Infinite, unchanging light. You must know this unchanging. Be with as the unchanging, as the unchanging. Jesus, am I a changing thing or am I unchanging? And hear the answer. Am I changing or unchanging? You can see, you can ask him anything. Am I finite or infinite? Here's the answer. Is my true nature finite or infinite? Was I born? Do I actually die? And so I go to find the treasures God has given me, infinite. I seek but the eternal, for your Son can be content with nothing less than this. Jesus, can I be content with anything other than light? Let that detonate. That's really what these light circles are for, to let that detonate. He says revelation readiness, because we're ready. This is given by Jesus for revelatory experience, that there is only light. And then we can just join. There's light. Remember Jesus's plan. Light, see that you're light. Marinate as light. Muji says it's so beautiful. And then let me show you where you're saying no to that. That's it. Simple plan. So you can release the no's to the miracle. And he's now showing us where we really, really, really don't want the miracle. Where we don't want forgiveness, like little Simba last night in the Lion King movie. Oh, adorable. That was so precious. Thank you, those of you who joined us. And if you want to be kept apprised of movies again, let us know so we can add you to the messenger group. It was really beautiful to hear everyone's comments. We're going to post those too. I love those after session, what Jesus told me during the movie sessions. That's what we join on. We watched the movie with Jesus. That was beautiful, Kelly saying. I asked Jesus to watch the movie with me. That's the best way to watch this movie. Because she recalled that on the first time she watched it, like there's a lot of, when things would happen in the movie to the little cubs and things, there's a lot of reactivity, a lot of conditioning. The father's death, right? That the father could die or be killed. And to see little Simba, as cute as he is, that was all desired experience. The desired experience to forget who he was, desired experience to remember who he is. To see that despite the dreaming of the falling asleep, you can ask Jesus, Jesus, do I have a desire for experience to fall asleep and a desired experience to then wake up to who I am? Because we can see in the light's not looking around for, it doesn't fall asleep, doesn't sleep at night, doesn't take naps. It's always here. So it's the play of consciousness to have a scar come in and try to tempt him that someone outside myself can steal heaven from me. There's the scar character. In the light of divine being and honesty of God, is there someone outside? It's the play of the total, playing like some are good and some are bad and some are going to tempt me with the apple. So Scar was playing the serpent's role, an assigned role. Ask Jesus. Jesus in the Garden of Eden, was the serpent given a role which got transferred to Eve, and then Eve stole it from Adam by giving him the apple? No. It's a symbol of pretending someone outside is offering an apple. Need we take that apple? The consciousness plays by offering little apples all the time. Here, take a bite of this poison apple so you can be dead for a while. But it was beautiful. And several beings remarked on it. As soon as he saw, the Father said, I'm with you always. And he let that detonate. He turned around and went right into function. We're going to invite that detonation and be in function, the only function, God function. I seek but the eternal, for your son can be content with nothing less than this. The Lion King is definitely on Jesus's recommended list. Everything's in that movie. Play of consciousness, having to leave home, feeling like we did something to kill the father, playing around in the semi-garden of Eden till we see it's really not as nice as it is. It's not our function. All the play, oh my gosh, he's going to go back to the kingdom. We're going to lose that, lose our best friend. It's the whole play. And to see that everyone goes together. For your son can be content with nothing less than this. Jesus, will I ever be content with anything other than seeing that I'm and accepting that I'm eternal? What then can be his solace but what you are offering to his bewildered mind? Oh, we're bewildered. Let's ask. Honesty of God, are we really, is there a desire for an experience to be bewildered about who we are? When our only function is to be delighted by what we are. Can't really describe joy. We're so used to being bewildered. The good news is it only takes an instant and less than an instant to recognize what's never bewildered, infinite light. Is infinite light ever bewildered? It just is. It's not questioning what it is. It just is, isness. And what then can be his solace but what you are offering to his bewildered mind and frightened heart to give him certainty and bring him peace? Infinite light is the only peace. Today I would behold my brother sinless. Jesus, this day will you help me to behold my brother sinless? For I know to hold my brother sinless is to hold myself sinless. Jesus, is this the only way it can be? Thus your will for me, for so I will behold my sinlessness. Thank you, brothers, for coming so we can behold our sinlessness together. Sinlessness. Amen. Aw, sending you love. See how on goes lives. The love team.
Sinless and sinless. Now there's the fingers.